Hi, welcome to Second Order Effects. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jim.
And today we're going to be talking about the religious revival happening right now in our country.
And it's been going on since before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but I think that really brought it into sharp focus. And some of the second order effects of having a religious revival is people can be happier. They can live better lives. We can return our country to the Judeo-Christian principles of the founding. And all in all, those things work together to make the world a better place. What do you think? Do you think that we actually have a full-on religious revival going?
I think it's been happening for a while. I mean, we've talked about this a lot just in our daily lives, the things that we see. We've also seen some pretty ugly anti-Christian sentiment here, because when we're talking about religious revival, let's be specific. We're talking about Judeo-Christian values that were the founding of our country.
Those things are the fundamental underpinning, and they got lost. And they didn't just get lost. They got beaten down, beaten into submission, and removed from the public square. You know, somehow the idea that a separation of church and state meant that you couldn't talk about Christianity, or that Christianity had to be the butt of every joke and the bad guy in every bad television show.
Well, that's been going on for decades. Mm-hmm. When the left started labeling Christians as Christian nationalists, because how dare somebody love the Lord and love America?
And believe that America was founded as a Christian country.
And in our daily lives, right. We're talking about just the daily lives, the things that we do every single day, the way we live, the way we treat people. It's having a heart of gratitude.
I have taken to trying every day to remember how blessed we are. Just that simple word. And, you know, I came later to religion than you did, and you helped very much on my path walking towards the Lord.
Well, thanks for the credit. I really do appreciate that. But in our early years, we didn't talk about Christianity that much. You were very resistant. Yeah. I didn't come to Christ, well, it's funny now, I thought I came to Christ late when I was all of 36 years old. But I know what life was like from 0 to 36. And I was agnostic because I thought atheism was too much of a belief system.
Atheism to me is the most arrogant thing you can say. I know there is no God. No, you don't. You absolutely do not know that. I'm going to come to it with at least the humility to say that I don't know.
But in our early years, I looked at it as everyone has an individual walk with the Lord. Mm-hmm. And your walk is your walk. And I still say that, you know, because the way we exercise our spirituality is very different. Yeah. And I wasn't going to push you. I had faith that you would come to know the Lord.
And you couldn't push me. That was the first appearance of Jethro. The cats will be part of these ongoing conversations. Yeah. They live here too.
And we get to question things. Yeah. And you like to question things.
I can't not question things.
You like to poke holes in things.
It's my nature, yeah.
Yeah, you do. And that's been interesting lately as we're watching this return. Because when the left, again, where they said Christian nationalist, that to me always sounded like skinhead. That okay. Just, it sounds, it has that ugly
They mean
ring.
it that way.
And I think they do.
Yeah, they do.
They're labeling every Christian as somebody who wants to destroy everybody else's way of life. Right. And that's not it. And even when we talk about the founding of our country with the Judeo-Christian values, we're not talking about Judeo-Christian only.
Right.
We're not talking about excluding other people. We're not talking about forcing everyone to be Christian or die.
Right.
That's
somebody does that though.
Yeah.
I've heard of a religion that acts that way. You can't have a state religion. That's forbidden. But you can recognize the honest truth that our country was founded by mostly Christians based on the beliefs of Christianity, you know, Judaism, English common law, the Enlightenment, and the rest of it. But strongly, all of those have a founding in religion.
Would I like everyone to know the Lord? Absolutely.
It's in the book, isn't it? The Great Commission, something like that?
It's in there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we force people into that. I didn't force you.
You asked me. You said you didn't want to spend the rest of your life in eternity without me because I was a non-believer. And I remember that was gobsmacking. I was like, holy crap. I didn't get it yet because I didn't believe at that point in time. But I understood your point of view. If you do believe and you're going to spend eternity, where am I? Paddling around the lake of fire, doing my thing. That's not a good way for us to spend our time on here and then split up and go opposite directions.
Because I kind of like hanging out with you.
And paradise sounds good.
Before you had come to know the Lord, and this is back in the time when I said, I'm not going to push you. Your walk is your own, but I would ask you to go to church with me. And you were cool with that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you sang in the choir.
I did. It helped. It helped a lot to see that I didn't have to come to pure, unmitigated, perfect faith and I didn't have to take a leap of faith across some unfathomable chasm that I couldn't, see the bottom of in order to get to faith. I came to the conclusion that the preponderance of evidence to me said that this isn't an accident. The magnificence I see every day, is not something that was just a chain of chemical reactions.
You mean the everyday miracles?
The everyday miracles, yeah. You don't need, I don't need my name written in the clouds.
Oh, God, they used to drive me crazy. So you would say, well, if God really wanted me to believe, he would just put my name.
Jim, come to church, God. It would have been simple. But you pointed out, and this was probably one of the breakthrough moments, that God gave us free will because what's the point of making robots who he then forces to worship him?
Because he wants us to love him. He wants us to come to him of our own free will because that's the only way he knows we love him.
Right.
But remember what we did?
Started making a list of everyday miracles.
Everyday miracles.
Yeah.
Things that could not be explained. And when I first said that to you,
it sounded silly.
You laughed at me and said that was the stupidest thing you had ever heard.
You have a long list of the stupidest things you ever said that I keep that later turned out to be amazingly cool. And that's one of them.
And back in those days, before you had come to the Lord, and when in some of our conversations, we had a few conversations that I think are perfectly relevant now. And that is, well, Sam, you believe in God, right? Yes. Well, then you believe in forgiveness. Yes.
This was a good one.
So, okay, then you're clearly not a good Christian because you also think that people should go to jail, pay for their crimes, and you even believe in capital punishment.
Yeah.
And I do.
And I had a problem with that because I misunderstood the concept of forgiveness and justice being compatible. I thought that the idea you had to forgive someone personally and then accept them and all of their mistakes and problems and let it go.
But nowhere does it say forgive and forget. That is not what the Lord says.
Right.
Society says that. Well, gosh, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, it's great for people who want to keep on sinning.
Yeah.
I want to live a degenerate life, but I don't want to be held accountable for it.
Forgive and forget.
Right.
Do bad things. But that's not what he says. What he says is forgive as far as from the east is to the west.
That's pretty big.
Pretty darn big. That's infinite. There are some things that I would like to be forgiving of that I struggle with. But I said that, right after Charlie Kirk's assassination, that I wanted to be able to forgive, but my heart wasn't there.
But you said you were working, your Christian heart wanted you to, and so you kept working on it. So I'm not there yet with the whole forgiveness thing. I have difficulty saying that bad people deserve forgiveness. But I've yet to get to the point where I could say, okay, well, God forgives them, why can't I? And so I need to get to where you are. Well, if I can't forgive them, let God forgive them through me, and then I'm covered, right? And I'm not there yet. Obviously, for everybody who just said, no, you're doing it wrong, I know. I'm trying, though. That's the point.
With that idea of forgiveness and working on forgiveness, where do you find the space between Christian values of love, forgiveness, among other things, and social judgment?
Yeah.
Not just justice, but judgment. Because that's one of the things that I think we've fallen way too far away from, and that is the right to judge.
I'd go one step farther and say we have a responsibility to judge. If you're not judging, you're copping out. You know, if you're saying, and that's the big thing on the left, who are we to say this is better than this?
Well, I've got an answer for that.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, every single person from almost birth, and this is scientifically validated, babies know the difference between good and bad. Babies know.
That's a judgment.
That's a judgment. So there is something innate in us that starts judgment. Once you're educated, if you're in a culture that has value, if you have good beliefs founded on things like, Bible, biblical beliefs, live like Jesus, then you have the rationale needed to make good judgments. If you look at the second order effects of Charlie Kirk's assassination, people having to reassess Christianity as a decent thing and as something. Yeah, they do that. It's apparently Zoomy time. But if you look at what Charlie Kirk brought to the table, he brought a very likable form of Christianity.
Well, it was even keel. It was responsive. It was caring.
It's compassionate.
So yes, there is a religious revival happening in our country right now. And being Christian is something that we can be openly proud of. We do not have to forget. We do not have to shy away from justice or judgment or moral standards.
They all work together.
Thanks for joining us. This is Sam.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Second Order Effects.